apparently there's aliens invading a mall in Florida.
Yes, 10-foot aliens are invading Miami. It's as if Florida is the hub for all craziness, and now aliens are moving in, and they're like 10 feet tall. I saw the video, and I don't think it's an alien. I think it's just the lighting.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah, we're 5 days into the new year, though. I mean, this is like, come on, you guys are supposed to come in July.
Well, it's Florida too. So yeah, of course.
Yeah, I saw that. But, I mean, apparently, what it really was there's like some teenage kids just like getting into a fight or something, and there was like they did it. Like there was like strobe lights involved, so it's
Well, what didn't help was that you had a guy on TikTok, I believe it was, who put out a video saying that he was there and that they witnessed this like shadowy figure that was 10 feet tall, and that people were shooting at it and running from it, and people really believed this guy. And then he came out a little bit later on and said, no, I was just kidding. People took my video seriously and ran with it. So I don't know what to believe, but I tend to kind of fall towards the for this story at least. I'm kind of leaning towards this being not aliens. If that makes any sense.
I don't know. I gotta disagree with you, man. It's like
aliens, but hey.
No, when it's they always try to they try to label it as a conspiracy theory every time there's aliens involved, and it's like I got it every time this happens.
Yeah, every time.
I've been saying it for 10 damn years. I've been saying it, I've been saying it.
You know what, William? You gotta let Brad just make some drops that he can just play.
Yeah,
instead of having to queue up YouTube, just cut him up.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I gotta find a way to do that because it's like I'm scrambling behind the scenes to like line those up and like pick the right moment to drop them. I hope I'm good at that. But...
Upload them to the video clip. I mean,
yeah,
you have access.
Okay. Yeah, I'll try to get that.
Because like to get it off of YouTube. Usually, I use a website I think it's called Y2Mate. It's a weird name, and you just upload or you put the link in there, and then you can download it onto your mobile device or your computer, and then you have to edit. You have to chop, just edit the scene you want, and then you can upload it.
Okay.
It sounds way harder than what I just said, but it's not. It's super easy. I do it all the time.
Okay, because I've just seen like Film Junkie, like he has like a whole like lineup of those that'll drop whatever.
Oh yeah, like on my channel, I have a ton of them.
Yeah. I personally am not really a drop guy. I'll probably add like a pluser. I mean,
yeah, right.
When people are really, really wrong. Like I said, usually like when it comes to certain topics, like legalities and things like that, it's hilarious because, like I said, I was listening to a stream tonight. Wow, it's like, I guess I want to know what percentage of our audience has ever held stocks before or have been a shareholder. I'm really curious because I don't think that when I hear people talk, I don't think they understand how these chains of command and all these things work.
Yeah.
And like I said, we were talking last night. James Gunn took a lot of heat for just being an employee, doing what an employee would do, which was support an idea, and his boss said no. And I think people think that because James Gunn is the head of DC Studios, that's the end all be all.
Oh, so we're gonna drive it into the Ayer cut now. Okay, okay.
I'm not even gonna bring up
okay, well, there is the Ayer cut, and you know what? Here's the thing. I think that when we do this show, all the topics are off limits. We should at least be able to talk about them a little bit because, I mean, look, we only do it once a week. Sometimes I'll jump on with you guys.
You want an unbanned territory? Okay.
Unbanned territory. There we go.
Well, unbanned.
I mean, it's kind of a big deal. It's kind of a big deal, So, I mean, what do you guys think about what David Ayer said about the Ayer cut? It sounds like he's saying, hey, look, I'm not going to focus my entire career and time on trying to promote the Ayer cut. I just want to. Because he's doing other projects. He just did The Beekeeper.
Yeah, which apparently is like I'm really looking forward to seeing that next week.
Yeah, I want to see it.
I mean, that's getting like compared to like some reactions I've seen getting compared to like 80s, 90s, like Stallone and Schwarzenegger. So I am really looking forward to that.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be good.
You mean it's not good? That's not.
Yeah. You don't like Stallone and Schwarzenegger? I mean, come on, those are classics.
Commando, dude.
Martial arts.
Commando.
Action. I want guys who can move around, and those guys weren't mobile in their prime.
I mean, Statham definitely is gone.
Jason Statham is a real deal. I like George Schwarzenegger, and I like Stallone.
I mean, Commando is next level. I mean, Commando is incredible.
It's for a military guy. Commando is bullshit, but it's
yes,
fun.
it is.
Oh well, yeah. Okay. Now, if we're comparing it to reality, then yes, I would agree that Commando is beyond reality. Okay, like,
M16, and he's holding it like this with one hand. And
that scene when he's going across the front of that mansion, just like using weapon after weapon. I mean, as a kid, I was like, man, I want to be in the military, dude. I want to do that.
Yeah.
In reality, is it real? No, it's not.
Well, and of course they selling on it that much more by the fact that he's literally got the body of Mr. He's running around shirtless. He's got the body of Mr. Universe. He's got like the the cool face paint on. So they and of course it's like he can hit all of them. They can't hit him even once, and so they really
nobody counts bullets in the cartridges. Nobody knows what a 30-round magazine is. And I'm counting 5, 10, 20 shots. Okay.
By the way, one of the ones that there were two in Commando that just make me laugh my ass off every time I've seen it. The first one is when it's when they're getting on the plane and he knocks out the guy who's kind of guarding him and then snaps his neck. And I always laughed at that because he nails that guy. I mean, he slams him with his elbow, and nobody else on the plane notices.
And he puts a hat over his face. He's like, okay,
he's dead tired.
Yeah, he's dead tired.
And then the other one is when the girl, the stewardess, who kind of becomes his ally in the whole thing. She's busting him out of jail, and she picks up that bazooka, but she's got it backwards, so she shoots it the other way.
Yeah. Total disregard for the rest of the world. You know what I mean?
The backfire and that thing should have really fucked her up, but it didn't.
Yeah. So, it's a lot of it's action packed, but it's it's not. It should be used as like a military film, of course.
And also notification. Listen, everything that somebody says on Twitter, they may mean what they say, but like I said, that would be like my employee at the store, saying, you know what, we're going to start carrying Playboys and put them on the rack. It's not going to happen. Say no. I mean, and
you're not going to have a porn section at the Sci-Fi Center, William?
I'm shocked you don't have one now.
Nah, it's Vegas. There's plenty of places that can outcompete. But when it comes to like IPs and things like that,
yeah,
IP manipulation is not a studio head's job. Even Feige doesn't do that. When it comes to anything to do with an IP approval or anything like that, that's an executive. And here's why: because studio heads are not answerable to stockholders and shareholders. CEOs and executives are. So if you're going to manipulate my IP to do anything with it, and if those IPs are a big part of my value, you got to you got to let somebody in on that. That's up a couple pay grades, because that person's got to answer to some hedge fund guys and things like that. So and like the Constantine, anything like that, anything that is IP, things like that, anything big, especially something big, you guys are like, it's going to be Zaslav that makes those decisions. Right. It's got to be Zaslav or whoever is in his golf cart making those decisions. James Gunn and Peter Safran are employees. And like I said earlier, they are highly placed, highly paid, highly valuable employees, but they're employees. They have 2 or 3 bosses in their case. Kevin Feige, arguably the most successful producer in Hollywood history, has a boss and doesn't get everything he wants and can't just arbitrarily clear shit. He's got, and he has a better boss again now because Iger, but Chapek fucking said no to him all the time. Chapek put people in between him and himself and gave those people positions that really hurt the product. But once again, he had a boss, and at one time he had several bosses. So when these guys get on Twitter or get anywhere and everybody, well, James Gunn, he said he's in control of everything. He's the god of DC. James Gunn's an employee.
James Gunn's an employee, but at the same time, I mean, he has a lot of pull at DC Studios because he's the co-head. Now, obviously, look, the shareholders and the head of Warner Brothers,
is this Warner Brothers is this.
Right. I mean, but that's going to happen in any division,
exactly.
In any company.
But he's not lying. He just doesn't have that kind of pull that fans take him.
Well, he's also a very, very, very new CEO.
Exactly.
Because I mean, like he released several movies this year that weren't technically under his stewardship. So it's like he's a CEO who hasn't Creature Commandos, I guess will be the first name, but it's like in terms of like DC Studios that exactly, yeah. So and going to what David Ayer had to say about it, I mean, I think it's kind of I think maybe he was kind of I sense that maybe there was like a recent conversation, and maybe he's Audrey, I don't know if you saw this, but there was also somebody at like one of the like the premiere or the early showing of the Beekeeper. Ayer was actually asked about the Ayer cut and gave some more on-camera thoughts about that. And,
yes, he did.
He seemed a lot less despondent there than he kind of was on his Twitter thing. So
I think it's a case where he's been talking about this cut for quite a long time, and yeah, I mean he's referred to it as like the one that broke him, because it meant a lot to him. I mean, imagine putting in your time and effort into a movie and then only to find out that they completely butchered it because they wanted it to be something else, So I think he's always kind of held that, that contempt for like, hey, I just want to get my original cut out because that wasn't what I made. I made this instead.
Well, because Zach also did. He's seeing that too,
right? And Zach did it, but here's the thing, though, was that I think when you reach a certain point, you got to ask yourself, okay, look. Do I want to be this guy who's constantly talking about on social media and with my fans about the Ayer cut, or do I want to move forward and be known as a director that makes really good movies? So it's there's a fine line between, am I just becoming like, I don't want to say a grifter, but like, am I just going to be the guy who's always known for, I want my cut, I want my cut, I want my cut?
Is that
not a guy who's like,
legacy, yeah.
Exactly, and that's not his legacy, and I think that he wants it to be something more than that. So at a certain point, I don't want to use the word the phrase move on, but I think that at a certain point he wants to kind of move his career in a positive direction and not kind of linger over the same thing, over the same topic that hasn't really gotten him anywhere. And
revisit it when you have an audience. Right now,
right?
One also not when you're smack in the middle of promoting a movie.
Yeah, that too. Because like I said, I wouldn't even ask him. I would do him the professional courtesy if I had him in front of me right now. I wouldn't even ask him about that movie. I would be asking him about what he's promoting now because that's what they're promoting. But like I said, David Zaz, I've been saying this for a full year now that there was no business reasons to release it, and it sounds like I said, the guy who's like trying to cut down billions of debt just didn't see any pathway to it, and I can understand that at some point. At some point, there will be a different audience for all these things. Trust me. 3 years from now, the guy riding David Zaslav golf cart probably won't be David Zaslav. So revisit all this stuff down the line, and it doesn't need to be exhausted at this point because right now, like I said, there's no audience for it. There was never a business path to it. Everybody just wanted to see it. I want a stripper pole with a ready-made stripper in this living room right now. I ain't getting it. Me wanting shit. I have to, like I said, talking the language of the people you want something from. And there was just no conversation to be had here. Just like the Batgirl thing. I never see that happening. Why? People just wanting to see it doesn't mean shit. Is there a financial business pathway to your goal? And if there's not.
And we made a financial business pathway, with the Snyder Cut and with the fact that HBO Max was, they were just launching it at the time.
And it was a perfect storm.
So we need that perfect storm again for all this other stuff we have to hashtag for. So
when it comes to Ayer, like I said, I'm nothing against David Ayer. There's just no why. Other than if you eliminate why I just want to see it, then what? Because that's death. That's not gonna fly in a boardroom.
And you did also mention, I think RJ mentioned this recently, and there has been some other speculation I've seen floating around about it that 2026 for the 10-year anniversary, that might present a business case in the sense that it's the commemorative, kind of release. There's maybe, that's maybe a window for it. But as far as just kind of generally what it was, I mean, I think people, again, what he was saying on Twitter, and like I said, go watch that video of him during the Beekeeper Q&A. He seemed less despondent. He seemed a little bit more upbeat about it there. But I got the impression from the kind of the way he was talking on Twitter, that maybe there was a conversation that was fairly recently that he was maybe still, kind of coming back from.
Wait till 2026 and we'll get your shit out there. Now is not the time. There's no reason. There's nothing on. Like I said, the I want to see it is not. Throw that one in the disposal, because that's not good enough. But 2026, 10-year anniversary, there you go. Now you can make some money off
because that's a marketing, built-in marketing thing.
So I've probably somebody just told him, dude, it's not no forever. It's just it doesn't make sense now. We're in 2024. 2 years, dude. You're not, hopefully, not hopefully, you're not dying anytime soon. We'll get it done. Well, but it just has to make sense. That's all.
And to kind of go off of that, and as you point out, and other people have pointed out, that may not singularly be, within James Gunn's purview to, unilaterally greenlight something like that. And it wasn't one person. I mean, maybe you could kind of chalk it up to like who was it? Jason Kylar. He was maybe kind of like the top dog at the time.
Remember that guy?
Who was in terms of like greenlighting the Snyder Cut, but of course it wasn't just one person who.
We laugh at Kylar now. We laugh at Kylar. Kylar was right.
What about the D&D thing?
Kylar was right about just about everything he did. To be honest with you, we don't have the mental capacity right now in general to appreciate it. A lot of people don't. But if you look as the business model gets to where it's going to be, Kylar was right. We don't have the ability, and a lot of people in communities don't have the ability to comprehend it, because he was ahead of what he was thinking where the market is going to be. When you look at the way things will end up in 2027, Kylar was ahead of the game. So people bring up his name, and a lot of people bring it up. And it's not, like I said, the ability to comprehend what Kylar was doing and him being wrong are two different things. Because, like I said, he is where the industry will be.
Yeah, I agree.
But
to go back to James Gunn and the Ayer cut, and kind of a lot of the speculation around that, which is, as you mentioned and other people have said, it may not be, he may not be like the only person who would have to pull the lever on that. So it's not, that would mean it's not fair to say that he's like single-handedly stonewalling this. The only question I would ask and have asked at points, and that I think maybe it's like it's not really, I don't think it's implicating him in anything bad, but it's maybe something that speaks to maybe like a little bit of like a strategic error on his part, is that because David Ayer had come out and said he had spoken with Gunn, and Gunn had told him something to the effect of it'll have its time to be seen. So but it did after this week, that did raise the question in my head, is like, okay, well, if he knew he could not guarantee, singularly that could happen, so did he maybe overpromise there?
Well, to give him the benefit of the doubt, is, like I said, this is his first time being a studio head. He's not,
exactly.
Like I said before, with the parameters of what he can cross until he crosses them sometimes. This is a growing pain. The best person that benefits from James Gunn not having the power that fanboys think he has, guess who that is? James Gunn. Because a lot of that liability does not need to be on his shoulders while he's running a singular studio. Some of that liability needs to go up to the guy who's making a couple more zeros on that check, and the people who work with him, and the CFO, and the chairman of the board. Let those guys bear that while you run your studio, because, like I said, his singular focus is DCUU. He does not have, like I said, even Feige doesn't have all that. They're going to be thinking, like I said before, if a big wig, if Andre Nicotina becomes Spielberg, like he comes to me and says, I want to just pick a character off of the shelf that's currently being used. I want to do that. That's not going to be a James Gunn thing, because we're talking about licensing IPs. We're talking about signing deals. We're talking about other production companies. That's going to be an executive level decision above him. And that's good for all involved, because that keeps him, he doesn't have to take the blame for shit. Right now, he probably promised something that he didn't know he couldn't. Nobody, I don't know Zaslav, but CinemaCon Zaslav probably did James Gunn the CinemaCon thing, and said, here's the keys. You can drive the Ferrari off the bridge if you want to. And I'm pretty sure that initial meeting probably gave James Gunn parameters that Zaslav wasn't ready to give. And so James Gunn ran. I'm going to run. for permission. What is it? Permission later or forgiveness or whatever. I'm going to run into you told me where the walls are. I can't blame him for doing that.
Yeah, well, and also I think you said the other night, it's very clear after this last year and a half or so, and it is, I think, that David Zaslav is in no way a DC or really a fanboy of anything. No. He's a businessman.
He lies too, dude. This guy is said. I mean, if you pay attention to everything he says and what he implies, I'm like, I don't know what to believe. Maybe I'm not going to call him a liar. But that CinemaCon, I will never be able to get over that when he came out here and said that bullshit. And when he said
that we're prioritizing theatrical over
theatrical, we're gonna do this and that. And I'm like, how long did you practice that in front of that audience who's desperate to hear you say that?
Because it's theater exhibitors there,
theater executive that want you to throw me some steak. I mean, we're starving, our ribs are showing. Throw me something, throw me some kibbles, throw us something. We're dying out here, and he gave us the kibble. And I'm like, dude, you know damn well. And like I said, Kylar was doing what Zaslav is going to end up having to do, because that is where the marketplace is.
We have some comments here. We have some comments here actually relating to a lot of this. Relating to a lot of Kylar and Gunn and Zaslav. I'm going to highlight. Antonio says, Ayer said the CEO and board would have to greenlight, which William and me have been saying for months. Yeah, that's one of the comments that David Ayer made. It's like, yeah, there's a whole greenlight committee. So
yeah, it's not just about like James Gunn or whoever saying, you know what, I want to do this. Let's do it. No, it has to be agreed upon by the greenlight committee and also the CEO as well. So it's kind of like, look, or I should say the board has to agree to it as well. So, it's not as easy as everyone says it is. And that's, look, when you hear David Ayer say these things, right? When he says that a CEO and the board have to agree upon it, and I think he even called it like a green light committee, right?
Yeah. He called it a green light committee, which I like that term.
And so when he says something like that, it should make everyone realize how much. Like how impossible it was for Zack Snyder to get his cut greenlit and to get money to finish his cut, the $70 million that he needed to finish that cut. I mean, you're talking about impossible odds, and everything came together at the exact right time. If there was anything that COVID did to help anything, one thing that it did help with was it helped get that project greenlit, because it was a perfect storm. And he's even said it himself. It was a perfect storm of events that led to the Snyder Cut getting finished and released.
And I've got one from RJ here relating to Kylar. Jason Kylar was hated in Hollywood. Yes, he was. And hated for what he did with the Discovery.
Yeah, you're right.
Especially with Day and Date. I think he was making the right moves with streaming, though, and he's got a follow-up here. Kylar was definitely trying to bolster HBO Max at the time, making a premier streamer, even if things didn't always work out. Yeah, I agree. He was right on the money with it, I think. But again, he incurred the wrath of a lot of directors and a lot of people in the business doing that.
When it's like a spaceman coming down and all he has is Cro-Magnums and dinosaurs. They don't want to give up their way of doing things because they're going to be remotely extinct. Why? And that's old Hollywood. And to me, Zaslav is kind of like that way, but his replacement will probably be more like Kylar.
Yeah, I think so.
I actually think things worked out more than anybody thought. If you look at it, if you peel away my favorite thing, which is fanboy logic, if you peel that off and actually look at the movies that he released day in and day out. The ones, none of those movies were really hurt. All right, so if you look at it, The Matrix sucked anyway. It was gonna bomb. All right, there was no Barbie on that schedule. It was The Matrix, and there was a whole bunch of movies that were mid anyway.
Well, there was Godzilla versus Kong. There was what was there? There was the Suicide Squad. There was Mortal Kombat. There was
and Mortal Kombat was gonna bomb. Sorry. I know you guys love that movie, but that was projected to bomb. That was a low leverage.
What, the new one?
Yeah,
the one that came out.
That movie sucked, dude. Yeah, that movie sucked. I did not like that movie. There were some good parts. Don't get me wrong. There were some parts that I actually really enjoyed.
Yeah.
But overall, it was a shitty movie.
Scorpion and Sub-Zero at the beginning and the end. Those are the best parts. And it's like
exactly.
I can't be sitting through that whole movie. But anyway, there's one movie in particular that I personally connected to that I love that was saved by that strategy, and that's Dune. Dune made a lot of movies in the theaters, but not the kind of movie that gets you greenlit on a sequel, and it wasn't going to get the COVID excuse. What happened with Dune was it got eyes on it that would have never given that IP a chance, and that justified a sequel. And you look at Godzilla versus Kong, same thing. Godzilla versus Kong was on the verge of never being made because of the box office whatevers from the previous movies. If it wasn't for the fact that they were already done with that movie when that other one got released, you weren't going to get that movie. But what that movie did? Now we got more stuff. We got a TV show based not just on the box office, which did pretty well, but based on the box office and the watchability at the same day. Because if you give somebody the opportunity to watch it on the same day and it does that well, that tells you have viability. So Jason Kilar was where we need to be now. If he were here at CinemaCon, he's going to get booed off the stage by the dinosaurs. And you know what? Let them get up and leave. I don't want the theater experience to die. But at the same thing, you have to adjust your business model so that you could do more than one thing, or everything suffers. Yeah. I mean, Kilar got a piece of bad rap. It kind of sucks. But
imagine if because I keep saying I don't think Zaslav is going to be sticking around long term with Heather Cicero. No. But imagine if he leaves and then Kilar comes back.
I would, dude. If I'm on the hiring committee, I would bring him back. He has the resume. He built, dude, what he did with Hulu, and he got the mentality. Because here's the thing: everybody thinks that these executives are the ones destroying the cinema. This is bullshit. You know who's destroying the cinema? If you want to call it that, it's the customer. It's where the customer is at. It's that single guy who now has a wife, mistress, and 3 kids, and all that he all has to take to these movies. Right? It gets expensive. And what did I say before? You could have 3 great movies that you want to see, but 1 or 2 of them are going to get cut out because you can't afford to take the family to that. It's $125 average, minimum average, with snacks, food, and everything, and the gas. And you have to provide that option, or you're going to lose that customer. You'll get them going to the theaters, but you're just not going to go to like all 6 of the movies that you're putting out jammed next to each other. It just.
Reyes says, I think Kilar made a bold movie, landed with a golden parachute, though. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, he's that guy that we're going to look back on and be like, wow. And when you start seeing everybody else doing the stuff, then we're like, wait a minute, why did we chase the guy? Well, he got his position got eliminated, but like I said, I think he just gets a bad rap.
Yeah, I agree. And by the way, I know I've mentioned this on here. I don't know if you heard me say this, Andre, because William had brought up Dune and like how the day and date really benefited that in terms of like people who aren't familiar with the IP.
I mean, I don't know. I think that I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry, but no, sure, I think that if the pandemic wasn't an issue, like if that didn't exist, I think you would have gotten obviously you would have gotten a huge marketing campaign for Dune, and I think it would have been highly successful in the theaters. But obviously, due to the pandemic, that's going to slow it down.
I promoted that movie. They spent a lot of money on the promo on that movie. The thing about Dune is it's not the IP that wide audiences give, especially with the length and drawn out and the complexity. It's beautiful. But I remember trying to get people to go see it and give it a chance. And it is so complex. It's so big. And I'm like, no, it's not that. All you got to do is sit down and watch it, but you have to get the person in the seat. I think Dune would have, I hate to say this, Denny, if you're watching this is not a knock against you because all your movies have been this way and I love them all. I think Dune would have been a financial failure. Had it been if no COVID, no nothing, you just spend the money to release it. I think Dune was perceived, not in reality, was perceived as this big Frank Herbert. Oh my goodness. What was that thing? There were so many things that you were hearing about it. I don't think it would have like tanked, but I don't think it would have been the type of thing that would have justified. And remember, Warner Brothers at the current regime, he fucked up a lot of things, but they did not like the sequel until they got the results, the overall results from the overall watchability. Because remember, I said, why did you not make this big, expensive ass movie shoot 1 and 2 at the same time? Because you had all those people, you're in a lot of the same places.
Yeah, you would have thought it would have been in part 1 and part 2 multi-shoot,
because they didn't know whether there was going to be one. And be honest with you, this was before COVID. This was all that. So they They banked on Denis Villeneuve because if his movies bomb, they can bomb like Blade Runner 2049 and win people Oscars and make their money on the back end. That's what they banked on. They didn't think, I don't even think Warner Brothers believed that it was going to be a huge hit. Now, once they saw those numbers, those dual numbers, they're like, okay, so half of you didn't come to the theater and give it a chance, but you liked it. So we ain't doing a day and day for Dune Part 2. You got to come. If you liked it as much as I just doubled my audience just by having you on a streaming service.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I can see that, but I mean, when you look at Denis Villeneuve's movies, I mean, you're looking at Prisoners, awesome movie. Is it like a blockbuster? No. Sicario, I don't think that was a blockbuster. Badass movie though. Arrival, not a blockbuster in terms of box office. Still a really good movie. Blade Runner 2049.
But they bomb. And I say this as the biggest supporter of. You will not find a bigger supporter of Denny than me. But his concepts he grasps are larger than people have patience for initially. But once you sit them down in front of it, then they understand. No, okay, I can inhale this. Then you have a fan of his. But you got to make, and that's a huge step. His movies either bombed or lost money.
I think Antonio Baker's got a good point. I think Dune 2 has the potential to make $1 billion. Now that it's been out there, now that it's been exposed to the fan base, the fans are a lot of fans are craving it. A lot of fans want to see it. I want to see it. I mean, at this point, I was supposed to see it in November, but it got moved.
November.
Yeah, that would have been great. That would have been great. But it is what it is.
Yeah, but to go back to what I was saying a minute ago about Dune, I think I might have mentioned this on the Four Nerds. I've been there, so I'm not sure if you heard me say this, Andre, but I know I've shared it with William.
Hey, don't pimp those assholes on this. I'm just.
But this is a true story.
Those guys.
This is a true story. I mean, and maybe this does illustrate what he's, what William's saying about like how other than the day and date saved the new Dune commercially and made it the follow up possible. The way I discovered the original 1984 one, I saw I was like 10, 11 years old. I was channel surfing, saw it on TV, and it was the TV version that has that really, really, really long intro, kind of laying out the whole universe and all that stuff. And it's a true story. I saw it on the Disney Channel.
I saw it in the movie. I was 10 when I saw it in the movies.
I have no idea how it ended up on the Disney Channel of all places. But
that's such an odd location for it. Yeah,
but it's like I love sharing that story.
That movie didn't, like I said, that movie was what it was for the 80s. But
how's it going, Aaron?
Hi, Aaron, my favorite Aussie. Yeah, he's got cash. If he wants to get a job, I like I said, he may get Zaslav's job because he's the right. Zaslav is old Hollywood. He's not going to be the one that fixes all this with WBD.
Well, where is he at now? Like, where is Jason Kylar now?
He's on a pile of money.
Well, I mean, they're all on a pile of money. Even David Zaslav sitting on a massive mountain of money.
He's an advisor for Hulu, which he helped build up.
Yeah, okay.
He's an advisor. He's on the board of a lot of companies, just making money to sit here going, yeah, that sounds good, guys.
Well, hold on. Fourth is saying that Denny V just doesn't make word of mouth movies. I think that's what he does make. He makes movies that are word of mouth. They're not movies that get highly publicized, highly marketed. You've never seen one of his movies get like completely blown up the way like even like Rebel Moon did. I mean, you would say that the marketing for Dune, it did have a marketing campaign, although I thought it was a little bit smaller because of the fact that it was going to be mainly on HBO Max. But
hold on, Andre. No, it didn't get curtailed. Because I got tons of shit for it. By the way, when I give you guys a tour, I have a Dune area now because of all the stuff.
I bet you love that.
No, they pulled the trigger. Same thing with Suicide Squad. They pulled the trigger on all the stuff because they said, well, we have the shit here. They had already earmarked the money. It was a huge campaign, but it's Dune. That's what I was trying to tell people. And I'm like trying to bring people into my religion. It's like, this guy is great. But he's like, oh, I don't know. What is it? That's no, it's not complicated. And then when I finally got people to go to the screening with me, and I'm like, dude, just clear your mind and just watch this movie, right? And the way he did it was so simplistic. He did it in a way that if you watch any political intrigue, anything, you watch Godfather, you watch Game of Thrones, if you watch any of that, he laid it out for you to fall in love. When we were done and we did our after questionnaire and all that, there were very few questions about Dune that I had to answer. And that's because
right.
But I couldn't get that message to people beforehand. a lot of people. We've done Dune watch parties. In fact, we had a Dune, and we were approved by Warner Brothers and our intermediates to show Dune in our drive-in. But they had the movie gone on when it was supposed to go. We had a huge thing. We had posters that were about to go. We had T-shirts. We had it all. We had the worms. We had everything. They were about to pull it, but then they moved it to March. Which, like I said, I wanted to kick myself in the balls. And I understand why,
but still, I mean, when you talk about this, you know, the property or the IP that is Dune, I mean, it's not like you're talking about a, you know, comic book character. Or, you know, you're talking about a novel, a sci-fi novel,
IP,
that you know that has a fan following and has some popularity, but nowhere is it near like a Spider-Man or like a Superman or a Batman. So, Harry Potter, thank you. It is its own thing. It's a sci-fi story. And so, I mean, even when I heard that Dune was being remade, I wasn't like, oh God, I have to go see this, because believe it or not, I've always been a fan of the original movie because my dad was a huge fan of it, and we used to watch that movie all the time. And I loved how weird it was, you know. I mean, like the bear and all zits on his face and looked all, you know. It's like I thought that shit was cool. And so, you know, when you look at films, you know, like a Rebel Moon, I mean, you know, it reminds me of the old Dune, that kind of aesthetic. It reminds me of. Obviously, heavy metal, which was one of his inspirations, you know, and so I think that kind of weird niche kind of sci-fi experience is something that hasn't been around in a long time. I know I'm dragging Rebel Moon into this, but the reason why is because, like, I like that kind of gritty, ugly, dirty kind of. Now, when I mean dirty, I mean like not like sexually, but I'm saying like, you know, just kind of like an ugly, dirty looking, you know, sci-fi experience that you don't really get in this day and age. And I think the original Dune really captured that. I thought Rebel Moon captured that. But the new version of Dune it's so, you know, obviously it's very color muted. It's very clean. It's very, you know, it's very, Denis Villeneuve style, you know what I mean? Like his look and his aesthetic, and I'm still a fan of that. I like what he does, but you know, I like that kind of gritty sci-fi that we used to get in the 80s and early 90s, and that's one thing I like about Rebel Moon is that it to me it kind of hones in on that.
Only if
RJ's right here. RJ's right. A lot of people got the one guy who did go to wrongly was everybody else needed to go.
Yeah,
give me one sec. I gotta let my dog out. Hold on.
Okay. Go ahead and bring up some.
In fact.
Anthony Manzano, I got your questions. I don't have the time tonight to answer those questions. However, I will answer your questions tomorrow. I have them on my phone, and I will answer your questions. You sent quite a few, and they were quite lengthy. And tonight, this format's not it.
Yeah, you sent me a few too, so I was about to get to his. So yeah, I think let me know about that one.
Yeah, we'll get you the one.
Well, let me gotta go through more of the chat and see who we got in here tonight. Of course, I got a lot of the. And yeah, to Andre's point, also what you're saying about Rebel Moon, and you know, kind of what you're saying about as far as sci-fi and like the dirty sci-fi, it's like, well, and if the snippets of I have not read the novelization because I do want to kind of keep some surprises for myself when the director's cut drops, but from the snippets I've seen, if that's any indication, you're probably going to get a lot of that in the director's cut.
Yeah, I think so. Well, I mean, just when we're talking about Rebel Moon, I mean, just the overall more violent side of it is, you know, the more violent sci-fi. You know, I think of like
3D sci-fi, maybe is what you put it.
Yeah, well,
destruction.
I think of like, you know, like the original Akira, you know what I mean? Where it was just a very violent yet sci-fi futuristic story. And I think that Rebel Moon kind of has that. If we were able, like when we were able to see the rated R version, it's going to have that kind of brutal. And that's the thing too, is that, look, as a kid, you know, I feel like, you know, we were exposed to more violence at a younger age. And that's not a fault to our parents. I think that's just a fault to...
Thank you.
I think it's a fault to society at the time. I mean, look, for instance, okay, I'm at work today. You know, on the TV in the break room, they're watching Demolition Man. Great movie. Fucking love that movie, right? That. And I told them, I said, man, I was like, I fucking love this movie. You know, I saw this shit in the theaters with my dad. And then they said, "What year did this come out?" It came out in 1993. I was 11 years old, and I'm watching Demolition Man. Now, is it an ultra-violent movie? No, but it's a violent movie nonetheless. And so I was like, man, I was 11 years old watching that shit. And you know what? I remember watching, at home, I'm watching Commando and RoboCop and Rambo. Just is it Total Recall? I mean, I would never let my kids watch that now, but I did then. And it teaches you a horrible lesson in that life can be taken away that quick. You're like, holy crap.
You see, in
Akira, Full Metal Jacket. Full Metal Jacket was amazing.
Well, first,
love that movie.
Yeah, but and by the way, what you're saying about Demolition Man, it's like it's like I am telling you, we're getting those swear machines one of these days. We are getting the swear machines one of these days. We still don't know how the seashells
probably the way things are going now. I'll tell you what.
You bought up Akira, and Akira actually had heads exploding. No shit.
Heads exploding.
Multiple heads exploding. He's used this telekinesis to make people's eyes pop out. Akira was, and I love Akira growing up because it was influenced by Blade Runner. It was
there. You go. And again, Blade Runner is another story that it seems like that kind of fits into what Rebel Moon was kind of capturing, that essence, that feel. And so I think when we get the radar version, I feel like, and this is just me assuming, I mean, I haven't seen the actual cut actually, but I mean, I feel like it's going to feel like an Akira type story in terms of like the abrupt violence that happens where you're just like, oh God,
say that again.
The abrupt violence where all of a sudden you have this gore in front of you. You're just like, oh shit, where it startles you like, oh God,
that Korra fight scene is going to be 10 times better, I think.
Oh my God.
The shooting scenes when they put heads up against, there better be heads turning into mist.
I think heads are going to explode violently. Even with Charlie Hunnam, when he gets killed, it's probably gonna be more violent as well. He shot that rod right into his head, and he's just kind of like, you barely see it. He pulls the trigger, and as soon as it gets him, it cuts away because I think
he's alive. Damn it, he's alive now.
Yeah, right. He's paralyzed.
We got like the bubble of resurrection that Ed Screen goes into, so anything's possible.
Droga asks, any nudity? I'm sure there could be some in there. I don't know.
Sophia Boutella. This is the most clothes I've seen her in a while.
Yeah,
she's not somebody who shies away from that. Like I said, Atomic Blonde. Immediately, she's in the movie for literally 2 minutes, and she's naked in 2 minutes later.
Yeah, she's not afraid of that.
Yeah, the Mummy.
Yeah. Oh well, yeah, but let's not base her career on the Mummy though.
No,
the Mummy. Yeah, right.
Her modesty wasn't there. She literally is walking around with a dagger naked. So the odds are that you're probably going to see her. But
how's it going, Ruth? Yes, I have watched the trailer for The Beekeeper.
Yeah, we played it on here.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I've kind of described. Well, the thing about it is, like, I've kind of described it as, from my reaction to the trailer, was that David Ayer. It looks to me, and from the way that what the trailer is showing, and kind of the what the quote unquote beekeeper profession will be. And it's almost like he basically like did a John Wick with Jason Statham. And you mentioned the other night, William, it's like, yeah, you enjoy the John Wick movies, but like your big ones, they're kind of in that vein, are the Transporter franchise. But of course, Statham really kind of got his breakout.
All his movies. Listen, both Megs were fun, but they sucked. They were horrible movies, and they had fun.
But that's the point. They're supposed to be horrible.
And I had fun watching them. I love those movies to death. And I love every movie he's in.
What's that movie with the shark, and then it eats Sam Jackson at one point?
Oh,
Deep Blue Sea.
Deep Blue Sea. Thank you. Terrible fucking movie, but I enjoyed it. You know what's funny? Okay, so I posted this on X, not Twitter.
Paid money, and they don't give me my check.
So last night I posted it like I was watching it this morning, even though I did watch it again. So I guess I wasn't really lying then. I did watch it again this morning. But last night I watched this movie, and I watched it again this morning. Was Mystery Men. Oh, fantastic fucking movie. I love that movie. I don't know if William likes it or not. I can't tell. But I loved it. Loved it. You don't like Mystery Men?
I would rather put my own toenails and watch that again.
It's a movie that they can't make anymore. They can't.
Is it because Kel is in it? Is it because Kel from Good Burger is in it? Just say it, man.
No, it's just a horrible movie.
The Invisible Boy.
Well, in my opinion, that's not my kind of superhero movie. So the best thing about that was the theme song by the one dude, Smash Mouth.
All Star, yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, you died way too young.
Yeah.
I did, man. I couldn't believe it. I was like, God damn.
I was shocked as hell when that happened.
Well, the thing
but
about
that was the best thing about that. Hey, man, you're an all-star. I love that song. I hated that movie.
Well, here's the thing also about Mystery Men is that it came like 10, 15 years too early. Because like, imagine if it came out now. I mean, it would it would be positioned like along the lines of The Boys or Invincible or something like that.
No, that tone.
It might be.
There's something about The Boys and Invincible. They have something in common. People just want to see people have the shit beat out of them or get blurred and burnt. That's why Game of Thrones is.
Okay. So I agree with what William is saying. However, that was one of my kind of complaints about. I'm bringing it back up again. Rebel Moon was that I think people want to see that violent side. They want that hardcore violence, especially when it comes to a Zack Snyder sci-fi movie. When you hear Zack Snyder in the slow-mo and the violence, you want to get all that. And so I think that people really, they want it. They crave that these days. It's almost like, it's like The Purge, you know what I mean? Like people need to like purge themselves and watch these ultra violent things so that they can go back to, their lives and be like, yeah, I experienced that. I got that satisfaction. I think that could have been something really big.
Yeah, but like I said, I think you would have had to change the nature of what that movie was. Whereas The Boys is outright. I mean, the first scenes of The Boys, okay, you're in for some shit. And Invincible, I read it as a comic 28 before it even came out.
Well, I'm not talking about like Mystery Men, like in terms of like being on their level in terms of adult content.
You're talking about non-traditional superhero.
Yeah, I'm talking about like a superhero spoof in the era where superhero movies have gotten so big because they had back in '99.
And back then, I mean, your big superhero movies were what? It was
Blade and
Batman
movies. Yeah.
Nobody knew Blade was a super. People stop. Listen. We don't have a TARDIS. Blade in 1999 was not a superhero movie. They
did not know. Nobody knew that.
No one knew who he was, and you did not use the word superhero. Most of the people who saw Blade, just like the people who come in and go see Invincible, they made a cartoon out of that. No, comic book first. No one knew that was even a comic book. It wasn't like it was your top tier. So. But the superhero movies you had in there were the awful ones, and then you had the Batman movies, and then after that you had X-Men. So you were sandwiched in between then.
But not only that, though. I mean, we're talking about an era in which, like, my friends and I knew that Blade was a comic character because we collected comic books. So we were like, but here's the thing, though, is like that's not something that we were aware of. A year and a half, 2 years before it came out. No, we were aware of it when we went to the theater and we saw a trailer and we were like, oh my God, like they're doing that? That's crazy. And so now it's like you get this information so far in advance about who's cast in the movie. When are they shooting? When are they doing that? It's crazy. When you compare it back in the day, you'd find out when you went to the theater and you saw the trailers. In fact, a lot of the times, like just going to the theater, right? Obviously, you're going to see this movie, so whatever movie that you're going to go see, and that's exciting. It's thrilling, right? But the trailers were always something that was like, okay, here we go. I hope I get a good one this time. And then when you get a good trailer back then, you were like, wow, this is incredible.
You know what else?
I can't remember the last time I saw a trailer for the first time theatrically, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know what else helped it back in that era? Believe it or not, MTV. MTV News always.
MTV News, they covered that kind of shit.
Yeah, Kurt Loder. Kurt Loder was my. It wasn't coming from the movies. He's 80. Oh my goodness, I can't believe he's 80. But yeah, MTV back when MTV was actually an entertainment thing like that, they would do that. And a lot of the movies, because they were part of the promotion, because Viacom, Paramount, and all that, they would use them to push. They would use Nickelodeon. You got more movie promo up on Nickelodeon because you didn't have the internet like you had it now. In many ways, I think we have too much.
Absolutely.
Like, my biggest fear for Legacy is that because we have 2,000 years before it drops, we have the internet and, like I said, fanboy society. If we have too much time, we will eventually talk ourselves into hating just about anything.
Yeah.
We will analyze everything, and we will And that's why, like I said, and I think that the way James Gunn and anybody, by the way, with this modern era, can fight that is by getting to that before it gets disseminated amongst the sewers.
Well, actually, sorry, I actually kind of related to that. We did get a little bit of a talk on that from James Gunn this week, and specifically, we mentioned the other night that he did say there will not be a trailer for it this year, which and which, like I said, I think that maybe rolls out any kind of big push at San Diego Comic-Con, but like William said, they could do something trailer free, but we'll see what happens. But also what else did he say? He also debunked and Film Junkie posted about this, saying it's like, I'm not even retweeting rumors about the DCU anymore until he confirms it. But he debunked that Amanda Waller would be in Superman Legacy because there's been the rumor about that circulating.
Yeah, like where did that come from? I saw it say that he debunked it, but I didn't see where it came from. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, but so that's kind of speaking to what William is saying, but also this is a little bit more comedic. And this is like mocking uncomedic or anything, but I just find this very hilarious, the reactions to it. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this up.
While you're pulling that up, DC Comics, James Gunn, you have to make, and not just with this movie. Superman Legacy is this much of your overall. You need to have foot soldiers there at Comic-Con in full, and more so than at any point in the history of DC. Superman Legacy, you bring some people on there, your audience, the people you have cast and answer some questions. But like I said, this cannot be about this movie. It has to be about the DC brand, the full household approach. Everybody in your house, I got to have my hands in all those pockets. If we're just relying on Superman Legacy, no matter how good it is, that's it's a waste. B, I think it's going to be a failed strategy. You got to polarize everybody in the house. Everybody in the house. DC Comics. When you say DC Comics or DC in the house, everybody's the dogs are pick up, the kids pick up, the wife pick up, and we got all that money. We're not just waiting around hoping that this movie attracts people. That movie's part of a whole scheme. Please don't go into Comic-Con and just be, if you don't have something like big to promote with your movies, promote the movies as part of it. But Jim Lee needs to be there this year. I think he was there, but they all need to be here. All 4 days.
I agree that Jim Lee should be there because you want that full-on DC. You want to show that everyone's backing this. And he says that there's no trailer coming out this year for Superman Legacy.
We're still a long way away, too.
Well, I think they start shooting in March.
Yeah. March.
And so if Comic-Con is in July, I think you'll have time to put together a teaser if you wanted to. It wouldn't surprise me if they went back to the old, they show a teaser at Comic-Con that is not available online. And then you have to watch people recording it with their cell phones in order to see it. I think we're going to go back to that.
If I took over the world, and this is coming from someone who was at Comic-Con, was in Hall H. No more of this fucking Comic-Con exclusive shit. You have the opportunity.
Well, DC Fan Build again. Bring that back.
You want to give it to me an hour before the common man out on YouTube sees it? Fine. That's what Paramount did. They gave us that exclusive episode, and then 39 fucking minutes later, everybody else was watching it, and I thought that was right. You have the opportunity to polarize millions at once. You're a bigger audience. Most people can't come to Comic-Con. Most people can't even get into Comic-Con. And a lot of people just don't care about Comic-Con, even if they care about these IPs. If they're not there, they're going about their daily life in this peripheral. Give it to me at Comic-Con. That's great. That's fine. An hour later, give it to everybody. I want everybody in on this excitement. I don't want a shaky phone with it. No. What's his name? The Superman guy? Hornsweat?
Yeah.
If you got the costume ready, that motherfucker needs to come out just like Tom Hiddleston did when he came out wearing that Loki shit. You have him coming out wearing that costume. And then you play a little the song or whatever you want to play. You just put the S up on the screen, and you have him coming out at the end of your presentation in that uniform, and you make it so that everybody sees it. I hate the exclusive shit. I don't care how much you paid to get into Comic-Con. If the majority of the world that you were to take that cash from is not going to be there. And I want everybody talking about this stuff. I want to be like, hey, Brad, did you see that shit just now? Wow. I want positive streams about dude, the stuff we can play. I mean, stuff that's slicingable, we can play it right there, right after
taken down for playing.
Yeah, I want them to give it to me immediately so that we can start pressing the positive. Because right now, there's a void of bullshit. All we're doing is just spinning our wheels, and eventually, if you spin those wheels too long, you're going to come up with bullshit. So give it to everybody.
Yeah,
give it to everybody, and be having those like when Zach puts out stuff around Rebel Moon, we have positive streams around Rebel Moon. DC needs to start the positive conversation fucking 6 months ago. Now, by the time I get to Comic-Con this year, I'm not only wanting to get on that bandwagon, I'm running to try to catch up to it because there's a whole bunch of people already on it. That's where they need to be by July.
They started doing that with the first DC fandom, and then the people run the studio at the time decided no.
Yeah, and like I said,
don't
now
like money.
I got a guy who likes to talk to us on the internet. Start talking to us productively on the internet, man.
But here's the thing, though: as much as I want that to be true as well, where we all have access to it, or we all are able to see it in the same day as everybody else, you know, it's like Hollywood wants to make sure that they go back to their old system that says we let the media come in here, and then in order for them to keep their access, they'll be smart enough to hype the shit out of anything we show them.
That's not working anymore. That doesn't work.
But they did it. They did it just not too long ago. I mean, they went to CinemaCon. Obviously, that's for movie theaters, but still, they went to CinemaCon. What'd they do? They showed the Flash trailer at CinemaCon. And then I want to say, was it CinemaCon? What was the other one where they actually showed the whole fucking movie? Where I was
that was CinemaCon. But after they showed it at CinemaCon after they had Super Bowl commercial. CinemaCon was in March and April. So February, they already had a trailer out there. They're not, like I said, that may have worked and it didn't really work for Flash. But like I said, you have to look at your situation of what you are now at DC, and you need to be thinking out. You need to be building a new box, and you need to be getting everybody, whatever happened and it worked for you in the past, you need to come up with, how can I get to everybody all at once? And I want with that blanket of goodwill of us talking about just how fucking cool that was all at once.
Yeah, so William is basically saying that he thinks DC needs to be everything, everywhere, all at once.
You pun it. Great movie, but you're like I said, you're coming into the game. You're starting your baseball game down 9 runs. That's what DC is doing right now, and I think you need to polarize it. You need to cut through the fact, cut through the chase, get the conversation started to where you get the benefit of the doubt. When all this other bullshit comes up and these dumbass rumors, when you are generating your hype machine and you've been doing it and you didn't wait till July of 2024, you're getting the benefit of the doubt because you're inundating people with the right information. You're strategically placing your information where it's going to do the best, and it counters the bullshit. That's one thing MCU did well. There's a lot of stuff that probably went on the MCU that could have ended up being a disaster, but they controlled the narrative at all times. They controlled the narrative, and that's what DC needs to do. Don't give anybody shit. Give it to them first. Give it to them first. But an hour later, Tom, Dick, and Harry
they should do that because, I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's like you want free publicity. I can't see the word. Publicity. You want that from all your fans, and so if you can have a bunch of YouTubers online, like basically promoting your shit, you should let them instead of trying to monetize them or demonetize them or in copyright strike them, which is so stupid. Sure. Disney is the only one, and that's what makes Marvel so such a lucrative, operation. Why you have a lot of channel? Why even my channel? Why I do a lot of Marvel videos is because they don't strike you down for copyright. They don't. Yeah. They let you do your thing because they're like, hey, that's free publicity, that's free marketing. Why not?
Warner Brothers takes me down after they sent me the shit to show.
That's and that makes zero sense. Anything Warner Brothers they shut down. Anything Netflix. Netflix is the same thing. It's crazy.
That's absolutely crazy. Army of the Dead. When they sent us the patches, they sent us the posters, and they kept emailing, have you shown it yet? Can you tag us can you show it again? And I showed it, and I got knocked off the internet. And I had to make
crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
And I'm like, hey, can you put me back up? Oh, we're sorry. And now what they do is they send me shit with the stuff in it, coded or something like that. So when I hit that link, it's the one that doesn't get me kicked off. So, which is fine. I mean, mistakes happen.
I'm going to go ahead and pull this up that I was mentioning earlier that James Gunn, something he'd said regarding Superman, like again, this is this isn't like anything controversial, but I just said this was something he had talked about in terms of the effects, and people are just kind of having fun with running with this. So I thought it was pretty funny. Here we go. So
is this going to get us kicked off?
Somebody asked. I don't think so.
It's coming. It's coming. Get ready.
Somebody asked him, is Legacy going to have practical effects with VFX or actually just VFX and Legacy? Gunn said Legacy is only practical effects now. Now, you can't take this. Like, I mean, it's obviously going to have CGI.
Oh, absolutely.
Flying and
he's going to have him on wires with the wind blowing on him. Yeah, right.
Yeah, but
the little blue plate where the Superman's laying on top of it, so you can't see.
But people took this and ran with it, like, so now it's like they made like jokes about, the budget's going to be so low they're going to have like having to jump out of windows. So
this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. Listen, do I agree with the initial steps of the Zaslav Gunn Safran regime? No, I think they fucked some things up, but that's not enough for me to be waiting like a predator and everything that the guy says. Oh, you motherfucker! No,
he's lying. He's a liar. He's a liar. That's what they say.
You're analyzing the fun out of this. These are things you come to have fun with. You are analyzing, and it's because this movie is not going to be released until 3000 AD. There's just so much time for this to happen. And that's why I advocate, like I said, Jim and Jim, every Wednesday morning, 10 a.m., promoting everything DC, comic books, toys, everything DC. James Gunn's there on the couch with you. Jim Lee's there. Tom King's there. Everybody DC, McFarlane, they're talking, having fun. Let them see the people running this shit are having fun with it.
Right.
The fun starts from the top. And these little conversations, I fucking hate Twitter for a lot of reasons. Because it's words out of context. In chat rooms, words out of context. These guys sitting there going, wow, Jim Lee's laughing and having fun with Tom King. McFarlane's having fun playing with those toys. They're talking to the chat, getting ideas from the chat. Every week, new comic book day, have it. Please don't wait till the approach of Superman Legacies to start hyping DC. I think that they're putting themselves in a losing situation no matter how good that movie is, because you're going to have the zeitgeist and the people who are laying in wait to pounce on this movie they're going to be the ones doing the work. I would rather have James Gunn, Jim Lee, and not Safran. I don't need to hear from him, but all the people, all the brain trust that he had that picture of the other day when he's the people that I'm working with.
Yeah.
I would rather have those guys doing the talking than Joe Twitterhead and YouTube knucklehead and rumor scooper head doing all that. Who would you rather hear from? Who is it more productive to hear from? Those guys are the people actually making the stuff on a frequent basis.
Oh, that's Brad.
He probably his internet whacked out. He can jump. He can put himself back in. I'll watch for him.
Okay.
But yeah, I just think that it's right now they should be doing that, and I think they're making a mistake. I hope it doesn't doom the machine, but getting that positive conversation, going about all of this, and then like I said, when you have positive conversation, a lot of it that'll destroy a lot of this other stuff. Because, like I said, otherwise people start making up their own bullshit, and we got 19 months of bullshit, basically. And
I mean,
dumb questions.
The amount of bullshit that gets put out there is pretty extreme. So you have to kind of sift through all that crap, but it's crazy, man. It's crazy. And then you got people out there just with channels dedicated to just making shit up and running with it. It's absolutely insane.
And they hate the guy. Listen, like I said, I disagree with some of the moves. They have to pay the price for that. They've paid the price for that in nice green blood with that cash, dripping down, not coming to them. But and I'm gonna keep it simple like I do myself. Am I excited about the DCU? No. Am I interested? Yes. Am I intrigued?
Wait a minute. Just to interject real quick, as you guys are saying all this, I'm going to just scroll through some of the quote tweets on the kind of the flying thing I mentioned, because like I said, it's like this isn't like a big controversy, but it's just people are just it's just funny seeing some of the this is how they're going to have to make Superman fly now, and you got that one right there.
Oh, yeah. And see, this stuff builds momentum, whereas when you stop looking at stuff like this, when the horse is talking. When you hear the stuff from the horse's mouth, this stuff looks stupid. It looks stupid now, but it looks real stupid when you have the explainer, the guy making the stuff, having a side conversation with you. Yeah, it's stupid. Yeah,
That's a drunk guy at a party.
And then there's Mitch McConnell. Oh, you guys are sad.
Oh, Kermit.
I've seen enough. But
Okay.
do I like I said, I'm intrigued about the DCU. I'm not excited. Am I optimistic? No. I haven't been given anything to be optimistic, but am I pessimistic? No. I'm in a waiting pattern because I graduated from DCU, and DCU tells me one of my degrees, one of my classes in DCUs don't get excited about shit until the shit is here, until you know that the shit's going. If they have not done the work to get you excited and build a foundation, like I just explained, that they're not doing. But
I mean, he really needs to, though. He needs to build it up, and he needs to get people excited for this new DCU. And the last time I was ever excited for DC, cinematic movies was the hype for Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice. That was like when I saw that first trailer. I mean, I thought it was so incredible. I was badass. It showed the Robin suit. It showed all this stuff where you're just like, wow, we're finally getting this, So I think that, he's really going to show when he does make a trailer for it. I think it's really going to show how not diverse, but how big this new universe is going to be, to kind of give you a taste of like, yeah, I'm not just giving you a Superman movie. I'm giving you a taste of this DC universe that we're creating. Because that's what has to sell.
Well, and here's another thing to kind of again, you have to push back on this speaks to what you're saying about like building, anticipation and hype, because this has also been kind of circulating around a little bit too. We're talking about like the writers' room. That
let me clarify. Yeah,
which that's the Chicken Run character back there. If you hadn't seen.
Okay, so these guys need to be sitting in a backdrop of a whole bunch of cool DC shit, giant pop heads, the bat signal, a whole bunch of stuff, everything DC. I need to be seeing not just these guys. Tom King's already there, but I need to be talking to some of these artists. I need to be talking to Jim Lee. I need to be talking to Diodato. I need to be talking to Frank Miller. I need to be talking to people spread it out. I need to be talking to Funko. Have you have the guy who makes your Funkos sitting there discussing Funko. Yeah, Funkos are huge. Yeah. Have the people talking about comics and graphic novels. Have people talking about all these things. Have some of the actors who are portrayed. Have Matt Reeves do a 5-minute segment or something with you. Like I said, it's not just about Superman Legacy. Superman Legacy is an important part of it. But once again, it's about polarizing so much stuff that your entire household is not going to let you not get excited about this stuff. And you know what? Your kid, your 5 or 6 year old, maybe it's not appropriate for him to go see the Batman. Maybe Superman Legacy might not be appropriate for him, but you got a whole bunch of other stuff in there that is. He can buy a Funko. There's comic books out there that are safe for him, or as they're getting into that reading age. Like I said, it's like you're raiding that household and getting everybody in there to do, one house at a time, everything. And like I said, the movies is not going to do it. The movies alone are in this day and era. We're not in 2016 and not in 2008. In 2023, 2024, 2025, the movies are a part of it. The movies are one of the tools in the bag. But the DC tool bag is vast. Has a whole bunch of stuff in there, and they need to be pulling everything out to support DC in general. If I get you excited about the brand of DC, I will give you the benefit of the doubt on anything you give me. Toy, comic book, movie, cartoon. You've shown me that you're having fun making it. Let's get it going, man.
And
Hunter Iggy, how you doing?
This actually probably really speaks.
What's up, Hunter?
I think William, actually, you kind of spoken on this before. It's like, what are your thoughts of people saying that YouTube that Tom King is going to ruin the DCU?
That's why they're on YouTube. We're YouTubers. Nicotine is a YouTuber.
Mm-hmm.
There's people who can judge talent and judge ability. Tom King's shit sells. Thank you, Tom King. Tom King's Batman, Tom King's Black Label stuff is epic. It moves. I don't know what
you have to have someone like that. You have to have a Tom King or somebody who has that comic book background to be a part of that team. And I know that they try to do that with Jeff Johns, but we won't talk about that. But what I'm saying is that like you have to have somebody else in there who's an expert when it comes to the comic book realm. And I think that's a good idea to have Tom King as a part of that.
He's the best one. And if there had been a Tom King available in 2016 for that position, we wouldn't be together because we wouldn't have had everything destroyed and had to come together and find each other. I don't know what people's issue with Tom King.
Tom Queen wasn't available. Neither was Tom Green.
Prince.
Yeah, Tom
Tom
Green
Green.
wasn't. Yeah, he wasn't either. But Tom King definitely was available. So they had
People
to jump
have
on that.
different points of views about certain writers. There were people back in the day that hated some people that hated what Chris Claremont was doing with the X-Men. They thought it was too violent, too edgy, too sexualized. But X-Men was the #1 selling comic for 8.5 years.
Chris Claremont X-Men is, I think,
Gold.
one of the best.
Yeah.
The his Uncanny X-Men. I've read so many of those issues. Like, they're just fantastic.
When I think of X-Men, who's who I think of?
Yes, absolutely. I have
even John Byrne and then Jim Lee. So there are people who have varying decisions. I don't see why people try to knock on Tom. When I see his numbers, and like I said, I watch his stuff sell. I recommend his stuff to people, and they come back for more. So
where I put it.
But what are you looking for?
I had an X-Men book by was it Matt Fraction?
I think we were talking about him the other night, William.
Yeah, we were. Yeah, I think for me personally, comic book dude, I don't think they could have got a better liaison, a better person on board than Tom King right now, as far as DC goes. I think he's, other than Jim Lee, I think he's a guy who has his pulse on a lot of things. If you don't like his stories, I mean, all right, that's fine, but his success rate speaks for itself.
Yeah,
he has a connection to the band, so Tom King is great.
Well, and I think it helps to have, it's one thing to say, okay, Tom King isn't like the co-head of DC Films like Jeff Johns was. No, he's more in a advisory role to keep, because look, so many of the projects that James Gunn is going to be focusing on, have inspiration from Tom King's a lot of the series that he's done. And so that's why it's important to have someone like him around to kind of guide you as you're doing this. I mean, it makes a lot of sense.
And that's where James Gunn has won me over, because despite how he came about, they got the right guy by accident.
Yeah.
Asof's criteria for picking James Gunn was absolutely pure stacked to the clouds bullshit, but they got the right guy. James Gunn is the right guy for this. And he actually...
Well, we'll see how he does. And I have faith that James Gunn will do a good job, but I still have to see his product. And I've been saying this for a while now. I'm not going to judge him until I see Superman Legacy. Now,
out of the people that were available and wanted the job.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, he did Suicide Squad. I know you're a big fan of it. I love parts of it. I wasn't a big fan of the movie altogether, but I was a big fan of Peacemaker. Actually, I liked it a lot because
I became one. Four episodes in.
Well, Peacemaker to me reminded me of what we got from like Mystery Men. It kind of had that kind of corny humor to go along with, the seriousness that was coming, that was brought from Peacemaker's story. And the special effects were really good in Peacemaker. Every episode felt like I was watching a movie. It didn't feel like I was watching a TV show. And that's one thing I liked about it. But the character development within the show Peacemaker, of all the characters, especially John Cena's character, I did not think that by the end of that show that I would care about any of those characters. And by the time the show ended, I cared about all of them.
So I said
and I did not expect that. And after Peacemaker, that's when I was like, you know what? I think that James Gunn can totally do this. I saw Guardians 3. I liked it. I probably need to watch it again, but to me, I still felt like, now look, obviously you're getting Peacemaker in long form. You're getting episodes. So it's easier to tell a story in an arc of a character when you have multiple episodes to do that, as opposed to a 2-hour movie. But I mean, this is Guardians 3. So I thought, okay, I mean, like I said, I still like the movie a lot, but I really was surprised about what he was able to do with Peacemaker in terms of character and story development. And that's what got me excited for what he's going to bring to DC.
Now, I think he's the right guy for the job without seeing the stuff, simply because his matrix of storytelling, kind of like what you brought up. Now his success rate, I'm still haven't been budged. I'm in 40. I think it's 40-60 of this that this will be successful because there's a lot of stuff around it that may or may not have to do with him that might truncate it and cause it. You have a executive structure ahead of him and a company that may not even be led by the guy who bought him on. So that kind of upheaval and how they promote it, how it's perceived. How many people you can bring on board as far as giving him a chance because he's very divisive. That doesn't mean he's not good or worthy, but you see the division that's up there. So he's got an uphill battle. But I do think that based on Suicide Squad and Peacemaker, that he can take a 30,000 foot view of things and piece them together in ways that make me care about things.
Yeah.
Might not and buys me time to care about things that I will.
And so I'm sharing the screen now because he did clarify. He says, hey, "Oh, I misunderstood the question. Yes, we have tons of practical effects like in all my other films."
Yeah, so it's not going to be like Core and Sweat and everybody or Metamorpho and Green Lantern. They're not going to be just like jumping off of roofs, just hoping for the best.
No, it's going to be a VFX heavy movie, but he's going to use as many practical effects as he possibly can. And I think that, you know, if you're trying to ask, you know, what does he mean by that? Well, I don't get it. Look at, I mean, obviously
-1 is a perfect -1. Godzilla.
Well, I was going to say, look at what Christopher Nolan does. Now, obviously, look, they're two totally different directors, but what I'm saying is, look at how Christopher Nolan doesn't like to use special effects. He tries to use practical effects as much as possible. And I think that James Gunn's going to try to do something like that. But, I mean, look, when you're talking about Superman with heat vision and flying, no, you're going to have a shit ton of special effects in that movie. There's no way around that.
Yeah, it's going to cut. They're going to, like I said, spend what you need on this movie. Spend what is needed. I'm not saying spend $1 billion, but spend what is needed. Do not give me pick and save Superman, because if you do that, that's going to tell everybody that, you know, you get what you pay for. And I don't think you can release certain types of movies in the atmosphere where the standard has already been set. So spend what you need. I hope they give them the money to promote it, and they have to not be afraid they're going to take it in the balls in this one. They're going to take it in the balls in this one. I think if they still do what they haven't done before, and if they stick with it, and they've explained to everybody, we know we're going to get kicked in this one. But we believe that once we get it out there, whether it be in the movie theater, streaming, and everything else, we're going to build an audience that is a solid audience. The important thing is to let them do it and don't panic. That's to be the worst thing, because like I said, I don't think personally it's going to make a lot of money. I think it'll make decent money, but I don't. With the amount of money they're going to have to spend to get this plane off the ground, it's going to balance out. So you're not looking at may not be looking at a horribly profitable movie, but it's a necessary step. You have to put this cornerstone there. It has to be.
And not only that, but like DC Updates also reported that the company that's working with him is called Legacy Effects. And so when they're asking about VFX and all that, he's talking about the company Legacy Effects. That's why he's saying like, what is it? Legacy is only practical effects. So he's talking about the company Legacy, not the movie. Which, I mean, come on, you
got to be analyzing the shit.
You got to be a little smarter than that, James Gunn. Come on, what are you doing, dude?
Yeah, you got to be savvy by the internet. But
that's why I want to hear him talking and not typing.
Yeah, that's true.
But stuff gets lost in goofiness.
To kind of jump over a bit now from DC to Marvel, Ruth has a question here. Can I ask, is anyone excited for Echo? The sign language poster is.
Yeah, that was cool. We're going to go over that tomorrow, and not only are we going to go over that tomorrow with Echo, that's small potatoes in comparison to the revelations of what is canon as far as this Daredevil thing goes.
Yes.
Daredevil is the biggest selling point of Echo
by far.
The fact that we know that he's going to be in the series. That is, I mean, look, I was already going to watch it because that first trailer I thought was really good.
I did, yeah.
But once they revealed that Daredevil's going to be in it, Charlie Cox, I was like, dude,
Did you hear what else? Did you hear what else? That what they're implying is that the Netflix show is canon to
it should be. Are you fucking kidding me? It absolutely should be.
But they were fighting it, and finally, I think with the restructuring of the show, they finally just said, "Fuck it, this show goes back." That is the biggest. That's bigger than Echo to me. That is bigger.
But I mean, like, in order to do that, though, I mean, they really need to bring back the guy who played Foggy. what's her name, the girl in the show. They need to bring them back and have them as a part of this, because you need that familiarity. You need that what do you call it?
The foundation. Yeah, they need. And
Exactly.
I would also go as far as saying, it's like they need to lay the groundwork to bring back the Defenders. Yes, I am including Iron Fist. Because
I mean, look,
season 2 was everything season 1 should have been.
Look, when I watched Aquaman: The Lost Kingdom, is it a perfect movie? No, it's not. However, the fact that they brought back all those actors, minus Willem Dafoe, which I thought was a mistake, but they brought back everybody. They brought back Patrick Wilson. They brought back Amber Heard, Tamar Morrison, Nicole Kidman, and they even brought back their themes, which was very, very important for me. I think that if you do that again with Daredevil, then
it kicks in. Yeah,
it lends to the show so much better. And not only that, but like when you watch them hit the screen and you see the familiar actors, it just makes things so much better. You're just like, oh yes, this is it. This is what I want to see. And there's nothing in the Daredevil show that would say otherwise, that it's not a part of the MCU. And look, they were doing Daredevil Born Again. I think they're literally calling it Born Again. They're just calling it that because it's like, hey, he's born again. He's born on the MCU. It has nothing to do with the original Born Again series. Because if you read that, there's no fucking way they're going to put that in anything, in any of these shows.
I would love if they did, though, because
I would love it too.
Well, Scream was Born Again.
There was so much shit, and the only reason why you got Born Again is because of the two people in the 80s that could get anything they wanted to, or they walked. Frank Miller and Chris Miller. Yeah. Frank Miller was like, yeah, she's going to be a porn star. Yeah, she's going to be a heroin addict. Yeah, we're going to show her.
They wouldn't do that shit at all. I was like, no fucking way. I did a whole review on the Born Again story, and I was just like, dude, I even said in the video, I was like, there's no way that they're going to include these aspects at all.
But they put them in the comic book that 14-year-olds were buying.
Yeah, but I mean, shit. I was watching Commando when I was a kid. You can't do that now. And then not only that, but they had the guy. What's his fucking name? The other super soldier they brought into it, Nuke.
Nuke. Yeah. Oh,
yeah. They brought him, and he's fucking shooting a machine gun at people. And I was just like, I was like, there's no way. This is crazy.
Captain America shows up like, what the fuck are you doing? Oh, and you're a super soldier too? He did in that whole scene where they're kidnapping him. They keep kidnapping him to find out because Captain America find out where he got the soldier from. And Daredevil wants him because he's got a child and all this. And then he ends up getting
it's crazy. And the fact that obviously, look, we don't have Chris Evans Captain America anymore. Okay, so you can't have that in the show because he's going to show up as an old man, or is it going to be the Falcon, the new Captain America show up? No, it wouldn't correlate.
You could have the U.S. agent there because technically U.S. agent.
Yeah, you could do that.
You could do U.S. agent, yeah, but I mean, still.
You may not need to tell an exact story. I'd be all right if you had to leave some shit out. If you got the heart of it, I'm all right with it.
Look, that's a hard story. All I care about is that they give us a compelling and a good story for the Disney Plus MCU Daredevil Born Again. Is it going to be like an adaptation of the Born Again storyline? Probably not. I think it's going to be their own story.
Here's what I ask of this series: you don't have to do Born Again. You don't have to do any specific storyline. But what I do want you to do, if you're going to take these steps and don't take 75% of the step, go 100%. Make this show consistent with what you saw on Netflix.
Well, look, I'll say this then. But they kind of did this in the Netflix show already. But
Born Again, yeah. And it was
they
awesome.
Did. They pretty much did it. So it was kind of like
the tone, the fight scenes, and the brutality.
Well, but I mean, I want to say season 3, the Kingpin was trying to take down. What was it? Because in Born Again comic, the Kingpin finds out who he is, and then systematically destroys his life, and it ends up like burning down his house or blowing it up. Remember?
Blowing his house up.
Yeah, and so then he became homeless. He became paranoid. He started acting irrationally. Like that whole part of it, I was like, look, I hope we get that. That's really cool. I want to see that. But the whole porn star heroin addict, they're not going to do that on Disney Plus. No freaking way.
They had that with Karen. She does have a coke addiction in season 3, so they did touch upon that side of it.
Karen Page, that's right. Yeah, that's her name. Karen Page. But even then, it was on Netflix. So you can kind of get away with it, because even Kevin Feige sort of like disavowed those shows because he was like, "Well, I didn't really like that idea." Anyway.
Yeah, and that's like, "Oh, no, okay, we made a mistake."
The worst thing, and Kingpin would admit this later on when Daredevil fucking dismantled this man and just beat him and put him behind bars. He reversed everything. He said the worst thing that ever happened to me is that I found out who he was, because Daredevil fucks him up. And there's one storyline where he page after page after page, he exposes all the links to his crime. He puts the Kingpin in prison, and he beats the hell out of him and returns the favor from when Kingpin beat him up. And he gets him. He ruins Kingpin, and he's like, I would have been better off if I would have never known him, and I would have never taken off this fight. And I remember when Punisher was coming after him, and it was like, he's like, do I really want to take up this fight? We could end up having another Matt Murdock situation. And then in his story, like, yeah, maybe. And that's why it never got real big with him, is because once you have somebody like Matt Murdock zeroing in on you, it's the worst thing in the world. And then when people knew, and when Jonathan Bendis was doing it, and people knew who Daredevil was, but they couldn't prove it, it was some of the best Daredevil storytelling, because the entire community backed Daredevil. And he's like, you guys, and remember that storyline? I brought it up. It's one cover that says, "I am your God." I remember it was controversial. They wanted to take it off the shelves and all this stuff. And when you actually read the comic, that's not what he was saying. He's saying, when I said I was your God, I was referring to the fact that you work hard, you take care of your houses, you live in the slum, but you're willing to give everything to the Kingpin. You're willing to treat him like you're your God. Here I am, one guy, fighting for all of you, and I can't even get one of you to support me and fight for your neighborhood. I can fight, and he says, I can fight one criminal at a time. You can fight them all. And that's when they all started to know it was Matt Murdock. And now
I'll be right back, guys.
Yeah. So Daredevil is a great story generator. I hated She-Hulk with him and She-Hulk. It just made me want to vomit.
Oh, I know. I mean, look, I love the gold suit. That was cool, but the way they portrayed him, I was kind of like, dude, what is this? Like,
call me. I'm like, oh no, what is this, Boomerang? I mean, what?
Yeah, it was just kind of like, come on, man, what are we doing here?
Getting thrown out.
And to be honest, I think that the Daredevil series that they were developing was more of that, and I think that at one point somebody, if it wasn't Kevin Feige altogether, said, hold on, what are we doing with this? And I think that to be honest, I kind of feel like when the whole Jonathan Majors thing began, his scandal started, I think that's when they began to start to rethink everything. And I think that was one of the shows that was on the chopping block. Like, hey, well, let's rethink this, let's retool this, and let's make sure we get this right. Because we're talking about a character that has built a fan base on Netflix, and now we're about to portray him as not the same character. And so it's like, hey, look, no, we need to have this character be the one that comes over, because that's the one they're familiar with. That's the one that can cameo and echo and bring in a lot of viewers, because they want to see that version of the character in the MCU.
All right, hey, real quick, Larry Kokoritz with a $5, I guess, super chat. Please add Enemy to the watch party. It's the best villain. Oh, okay. It's the best villain that nobody has seen.
The super chat?
Yeah, I have Streamlabs up. I'm not monetized yet.
Oh, okay, got you.
Took me a few watches. Oh, dude, you don't have to twist my arm to get a Denny movie in there. All right, we'll get it done. We'll get it done. But yeah, it's I like I said, this whole comic book thing. Like I said, James Gunn. I like his work. I'm like I said, but I can't put myself into that excitement level yet. I haven't. When they do the work though to get me excited, I'm a fucking grown ass man wearing a Shazam shirt most of the time. I'm ready to jump into this. You haven't given me to jump into yet, man. You know?
I mean, like, it's funny because when you look at the Netflix MCU shows that they had, like Jessica Jones and Daredevil and Iron Fist and Luke Cage, I think again, this is where the idea comes in people's heads that like, oh well, why can't we do that with DC and do the whole Snyderverse thing? But no, it's not going to happen. And like I said, Kevin Feige had basically, like I said, kind of disavowed those shows as like, yeah, that's something we're doing, but it's not true canon for the most part. But out of all those shows, Daredevil needs to be the one that's pure canon to the character that you bring over to the MCU. Sorry.
Like I always say though, did never put a transaction past David Zaslav. He's not us, dude. He sees these things as money and commodity. What I want. Yeah. I could see him in a heartbeat if somebody came up to him with enough money to license something, and he's trying to cut down the debt so he can get he can start handing out his bonuses to the people who will give him votes to stay in power if he wants to stay in power, or leverage him or approve his contract or anything like that. I could see him selling out. But anybody else? No, David Zaslav to me is a transaction guy. And I think it's really important to understand that David Zaslav does not reason or rationalize like us, like fans do. It's not going to mean what it means to us. All the reasons why anybody thinks that David Zaslav would not do that, he is not going to entertain one of those. The confusion element, the competition element, David Zaslav is not going to think one bit about that. He's going to see the number, the dollar amount, and he's going to be like, I got this debt. I got $29 billion in debt on a company that is decreased in value again. I didn't think that could happen. I'm going to be able to buy Warner Brothers pretty soon, and I'm broke. But I think he's going to be like, if somebody were to do something like that, I think that it would be transactional, and it's for the better or for worse, for better or for worse. I think that he's a guy that would do things on transaction, especially if it's licensed. Now, he couldn't sell anything. Selling anything takes like a stockholder. If I'm your stock, and I am a stockholder, if you sell something like Marvel did when they were going bankrupt, it's coming after your ass because you just devalued my company. You licensing it off, that's we still own the IP. If you were to sell like a major IP and you bring down the value of that company because that's what part of the value of the company, I'm gonna be looking for you and your golf cart. So that kind of stuff can't happen. And I think people just don't understand the kind of dynamics. But would a non-fan who has no fanboy reasons, a connection to these projects, license these out to somebody at any given time? Yes. David Zaslav is about money. He's not about his understanding with getting James Gunn. Hey, that guy that did the Marvel stuff. That's his understanding of that stuff. So when it comes to some of the stuff that we talk about, pro or con, none of that stuff is going to come up on his bed. He's going to see a check, or he's going to see a Bitcoin transaction, whatever the fuck he gets the money through. That's what he's going to see. So I always say it's never say never, because who knows? And who knows who the new boss may be like, fuck all you fanboys. How much debt are we in? I just convinced a bunch of people from this other company to buy your company. I gotta sell the paint off. I gotta license the paint off the walls if I can. And like I said, whereas the chat rooms and the YouTube people will be like, they should never do that. They can't do that. They would never do that. Like I said, none of this stuff is coming up in Burbank right now. The accountant that's sitting next to Zaslav with that sheet and kind of like, dude, who's going to buy us next? Hot dog on a stick? I mean, we have to, merge with somebody and they merge with Paramount. Paramount's going to be like, okay, we just convinced our stockholders to not only take on our debt, but your debt. We need to sell your shoes, sir, and your socks. What are they worth? So, but like I said, that's why when I think of WB 3 years, it's going to be tough. I don't know. The thing
too is that they want to invest in the properties that are going to give them longevity, and so when you look at, hey, this could be a quick cash grab, they might go for things like that, but for the most part, they want to make sure that they're establishing projects and IPs and develop things that are going to give them longevity in terms of long-standing earnings. And I think that that's what's going to help sell the company when you're looking to merge or to sell off the company. When you invest in these cash grabs that don't have longevity, I think that doesn't bode well for somebody or a company that's trying to merge or sell within a certain time frame. No, they want to have these DC studios set up and established and has a longevity, a long-term plan of success. I think that's what they're also focused on as well, because again, at the end of the day, you have to be able to develop your company to be a company that is profitable, has a future, and is a company that other companies want to either invest in, buy, or merge with.
Unfortunately, I don't think Zaslav is that guy, and I think Zaslav knows he's not that guy. So his goals are different. I think the next guy is going to be the guy. I think the next
could be. It could easily be.
Keelar. Let's just fucking Keelar do it. And I think Keelar. Now, dude, if you ever have a Keelar sitting in that seat, Keelar would be open-minded and to diversify as much as he can, because that's
right.
just thing. So, but who knows? Right now, like I said, I just want to know who's going to be running the show, because I don't want guy number 2 to come in.
Could
and be. Like, yeah, I want to. I know what you mean. I want the next guy.
All right, I'm back, guys.
To buy it. Wow, dude, that's what I want the next guy.
Yeah, sorry, I just had to run to the bathroom.
Well, but that's the thing, though, is that you got these guys out there that are telling us that, I hate talking about this crap, but that Zaslav has chosen the Snyderverse, that Zaslav is going to be the savior, Zaslav is going to fix everything.
Doesn't give a fuck.
Doesn't give a fuck. He's like, huh? His goal when it came to DC was, I need to find somebody who can run that division, that studio.
Why doesn't anybody want this job? That was his first words. Like, why can't it get this? Remember all those people that were candidates?
Yeah.
And there was a Dan Lin was supposed to be. People had them on the thumbnails, and he was going to be the next guy.
They had talked to, what's his name, Todd Phillips.
Todd Phillips said no. He didn't just say no.
But to me, that was another crazy move, because look, you talk like James Gunn has said that, like, yeah, when they asked me if I wanted to do it, I said no, I don't want to. Or when he was asked, he said no, I don't want to do it, because I'm sure they asked him, hey, would you be interested in running DC? And he said no, I don't want to do that. But then when they said, okay, we're gonna have Saffron here and you be the creative, that's a whole different story. And he's like, okay, yeah, maybe I'll do that. Yeah. But no, you didn't have all these names flooding in who were going to take over. Alan Horn is too old. He wasn't going to do that.
He was just ahead on it.
Yeah. Christopher Nolan was never going to do that. The fact that they even reached out to Todd Phillips, to me, is shocking, in the sense that you saw what he did with Joker. Is that the type of universe that you want to develop, a universe like that? And maybe that wasn't something that they wanted to do, but they explored that idea. Yeah. You never heard about him reaching out or talking with Zack Snyder. That was never a thing.
I don't think.
Contrary to what everyone, I'm saying, contrary to what everyone was telling people, or what certain people were telling people, that was never a thing. Like the Deborah Snyder in talks to head DC, that was never a thing.
I don't even think they would have answered the call.
No, but at the same time, like, we've seen the quote where Zaslav literally says, I looked over and I saw James Gunn, and I was like, wait, this is the guy who did the Guardians movies. Why isn't this guy running our DC division? And that's alone said enough.
Well, but even that's bogus when he says that, because of the fact that they had considered Todd Phillips. So if they had gone with Phillips, he would have said, it's like, well, this guy did breakout.
Yeah, Bill or Dan Lin would have negotiated, then we wouldn't have had. I think, like I said, he stumbled into the end zone. He tripped over his own dick and his toes, and I believe.
Well, probably
ultimately be the right guy.
It wouldn't surprise me if I wouldn't say Zaslav, but if Warner Bros. Reached out to Gunn's representatives and kind of probed him about, would he be interested in doing this, and he probably said, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want that kind of responsibility. But then when they started to say, okay, well, what if we also had Peter Safran involved, and he would handle all these other aspects of the job while you handled these aspects of the job? And I'm sure there's more things that were offered to him in this deal that we don't know about. And then that made the deal, much more enticing. And he probably said, okay, let's do it. And
I have a quick question. I wonder at night how honest Zaslav was with him about the shit he could give him in the
Who knows, dude? Who knows? Because like the whole Dan Lin thing.
We're bringing cinema back. Get your popcorn ready.
Well, but it's like, even with the whole thing with Dan Lin, it never felt like Zaslav was trying to go after Dan Lin. It felt like Dan Lin and his party was trying to stir up talks to get him, because Dan Lin's, his people. Well, Dan Lynn's people were putting that stuff out there, saying, "Oh yeah, we want to do it. I want to do my own thing and all this stuff, and I want to. I like Superman, Batman, whatever." But I don't think they ever went for him. I don't think that was his choice. I don't think that's what Zaslav wanted to do, and he wanted a proven filmmaker, a creative who can do this, and so he was able to get him as long as Safran was involved. And I'm sure a bunch of other agreements that we have no idea, that we'll never know about. And then he was able to get him.
But he's only, now here's the thing that would give me more faith that this is all actually going to work, is the contract status with James Gunn has not changed. And his contract will be up right around the release, just after. What I would like is say, okay, if this is your guy, and you got a 10-year plan, then let's put together a 10-year contract. That way I don't have to worry about, oh my God, we only made $480 million. We have to pull the plug. We have to change everything. No, you've committed. If you want me to be in and believe in you, then believe in the guy that you hired and let me know that this guy is going to be, barring egregious, Joss Whedon behavior or Kevin Tishara, the usual shit.
Right.
But as far as like, if this is the guy and you want me in, if you told me right now that James Gunn it's got a 10-year contract that goes along with his 10-year plan that you bought in on, I would be a lot more. I would throw away my DC Universe diploma a little bit. I would still be waiting to see if I like the tone or not, but I would be less apprehensive to jump in, because I'm not jumping into something that can get blown up in a year and a half or 3 years. If the movie comes out, okay, it's a great movie, but it pays in $480 million. All right, just let's say that a bit. I don't have to worry about the panic button. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's the thing, is that like I highly doubt that James Gunn, Peter Safran signed a contract and agreed to do this without any kind of precautions or clauses in their contract that says that you cannot shut down our plan after the first movie.
But it's not now. But that's something, to be honest with you, without getting into all their private shit, that's something that you need to make certain, because there's a lot of us out there that and in general, even a general fan is like, why should I even? Why? There's so many other cool things out there right now.
I know, but you know what I mean, though. They've seen what happened to Zack Snyder. You know what I mean? It's like they don't want that to happen to them. They're like, yeah, I don't want my shit to get shut down during production. I don't want my shit to.
I don't want my second and third legs of my plan not to happen, because when I put all this into it, I think that James Gunn, if you're watching, you're desperate. You can, sorry, but
quality content. He's watching.
But come out and people say we're in this for the long haul. We set a 10-year plan, and Warner Brothers Discovery has not monetarily but contractually bound us. When they hired me, they went all in, and you don't have to worry about certain things. If you enjoy the movie, and if the movie gets critical acclaim, and we climb and we escalate to where we want to be, we don't have to worry about shareholders and everything else. We got a contract here, and you know what? That for me, that moves me a little bit closer to the diving board, because the last time I got excited about something, I had the rug pulled out from under me. So if I get excited about this, and I like it, and I support it, and I tell everybody go see it, but it doesn't pull in the buku dollars, and then people panic that we will never know or hear about because they're old people on golf carts. They pull the plug, and now I don't get my Legacy Part 2 or anything else. I don't get this universe that I just spent all this time getting excited about.
I mean, I would imagine that when they sign these contracts, that it came with a certain number picture deal. Like, okay, so we're going to do I'm making shit up right now. Like it's a.
I understand what you're saying.
Like a 5-picture deal or you know what I mean? Yeah. But it's not going to be like, no, it's going to be a 10-year plan. No, it's not.
Okay, it doesn't have. Okay, but a 5-picture deal, that tells me that we're not panicking after movie number 1. If you tell me
that's what I'm saying, is there has to be that assurance. But the thing is that like James Gunn, I don't think is going to put that out there. Like, hey guys, don't worry, I signed a 5-picture deal, so we're getting these movies. Because
do that. Why not? Why not? Because that's the elephant in the room. It's not fair, but it is a reality of the situation that DC in general, not just the hardcore geeks, but in general has a history, a decade-long history.
I can see both sides though. Like I could see where you announce that, like, oh yeah, he signed to like a whatever picture deal for his universe, and you're like, okay, so we know that we're in for the long haul. Okay, that's cool that he's going to get that kind of freedom. But you could also look at it like, oh, so now we're stuck with this guy for that long. I want to make sure we shit on every movie that comes out the next, 6 years.
We can't worry about those. We're not gonna win with those guys. I know we're not gonna win with those guys, but for a guy like me who's a moderate, the 98% of us that are just gonna go to these movies and continue to enjoy them as long as they come out and buy into a universe. I know a lot of people will say, well, universe is this, universe is that. The business model and the engine that works, their sequels and share universe. So and he's selling us a universe. It'd be different if he wasn't. He's selling me the DCU. So if you're going to sell me the DCU and I'm going to buy in, I want somebody to have bought into you so I can let me jump into the pool. Let's start swimming. But right now, I got my diploma and I haven't ripped it up yet because if I enjoy it and I enjoy the first two movies and they escalate. So Superman Legacy pulls in $480 million, and then the next movie comes out and it pulls in $600 million. And you just on the natural progression that should tell the story. But I got some jackass or a new boss or somebody else that says, well, that's not meeting. We want this kind of standard. No, that bullshit that has happened before. I want them to be able to say, well, no, this is, at the very least, we're getting this deep into the story.
Yeah.
At the very least. And that would give me assurance to be like, you know what? Even if I think that Superman Legacy sucks, there's a cornerstone here. I know I'm going to like this other stuff, but guess what? I know this other stuff is going to happen. See, that is a big mental block for me, wow. And I think it's a smaller block for some people.
I was just going to get this, Anthony. I think William mentioned because you sent us a bunch of questions. We're going to kind of bring those up tomorrow night.
We'll go. We got a 3-hour show tomorrow. Oh my God. We got a 3-hour show tomorrow. We'll go over a lot of the detail stuff. I'll give you guys time. Even some of you guys in because we got our overnighter and we have our charity watch along tomorrow at 2. So we'll be talking throughout that as well. Trying to reach $6,000.
Which again, we cleared $5,000 New Year's Eve, which that just blew us
both
away.
Awesome,
we got that.
Dude.
We got that amazing. $2,000. And I was looking at, I'm not trying to pressure anybody to, unveil themselves, but so many of those donations were anonymous, and people were being quite generous with their donations.
That's awesome.
So I just would love to thank
it with him those last couple of ones. I'm like, dude, thank you. I mean, I don't want you to go broke.
Yeah. Well, and also it's like I suspect, I have no proof of this. This is definitely tinfoil hat, but I suspect that people maybe connected to the motion picture we were watching might have, chipped in here and there, but that's I have no proof of that.
And like I said, they have the option to be anonymous. And like I said, we've had 3 anonymous $500 donors. And I'm like, dude, $500 is a lot of money, man.
That's a lot of money, dude. That's a lot of money to dump on a charity.
So we appreciate everybody anonymously. The frontline people with the aliases, we appreciate it. Tomorrow we're going to try to go to where I did not think we would be at this point, and that's even 6,000. And then we're going to raise the number by the 19th. By April 19th, my goal is to be at 10. But right now, that money is available to FSB because it's on their fundraising site. So if you guys need it, you can take it. We'll still keep our benchmark going on. So, and they sent us a T-shirt, by the way.
And Anthony says the only Punisher I like was Dolph Lundgren. That movie's actually not bad.
That was Dolph Lundgren with a little skull lapel.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't even a lapel. It was just like the skull on the hilt of the knife.
Right. Yeah, that's right. And he had the knife and the thing. That was bad. But that was just not the time for those type of movies. But all right, guys, we're gonna wrap it up. We're at 2 hours, and I'm tired, and I got a long day today. Andre, where can they find you? In fact, I put your. By the way, you can go ahead and tell them, but I put your link into the description as well.
Oh, you did? That's awesome, man. Thank you for doing that. I think I still have it. Do I still have it on there? No, I do not. That's not what I wanted to do. I put it in the chat earlier, but it's also in the description below. Subscribe to my channel. It's Nicotino over on YouTube. We cover the channel covers basically DC and Marvel news and Star Wars, although I haven't made a Star Wars video in a while just because it's usually just like one topic that comes out, and I'm kind of like, well, I want a few more to talk about before I make a video about it. But definitely check that out. What's that? The Ray movie. Yeah.
Ray hate ready.
Yeah. No,
I can feel that. I can feel it.
It's about time a woman ran things. I was like, well, why are we leading with that? Why are we leading with that? Like, I have no problem with having strong women in anything, but that can't be what you lead off with when you're promoting the film you're about to start that you're about to start work on. That's what you lead off with. It's kind of like, so wait, is it about that, or is it about making a good Star Wars story? You know, I mean, it's kind of like that's it's not putting your best foot forward. You know,
having to fight off the Doctor Who Neanderthals since Christmas Day. Just
yeah.
Who wants that woke stuff? Oh, it's been woke since 1963. Where the fuck have you been for 60 years?
But definitely subscribe to my channel. It's in the description below. I'm trying to get to 1,800 subs. I'm at 17.
Wow! Oh, I'm sorry with the little tiny amount of 1,800. Where am I at now? What? Out of 340? Where's the music? Please help Andre get to.
I'm trying to get to, dude. There are channels out there that are in the tens of thousands. I'm just like, how do they do it? I don't understand how they do it. They probably make more content than I do. I'm making content while also raising 2 kids, have a full-time job. It's a lot. It's a lot. And unless I ignore my family completely, then this is what you're going to get. And it's coming from the heart. So thank you guys. Thank you everyone who supports the channel, who subscribes to the channel, and who becomes a member or joins on Patreon to support the channel. I thank you. I think every single one of you guys are amazing. I have a giveaway that I'm doing. It'll be at the end of the month. We're going to be giving away this Game of Thrones collection, this Pez collection, along with a copy of Zack Snyder's Justice League. Those are only eligible for Patreons or members of the channel, so definitely check that out.
How about people who have you on that?
I know.
Take the Game of Thrones ones and give it.
I thought this is cool. I thought it was. I liked it. I was like, this is badass.
He's to make its way to Vegas.
I got these too. This will be a later giveaway. These are the original Batman '89.
I have those
folders. They're just really cool.
I have those. I bought those.
Cool.
I bought those from the BX. Hey guys, you can also help me get to like maybe 400 this year, maybe. No, I'm just kidding. We're not controversial, like I said.
Dude, everybody who's here needs to subscribe to the Sci-Fi channel. I mean, the Sci-Fi Center. Sorry, the Sci-Fi Center.
There you go. We raised $5,200 with our meager.
It's amazing, man.
That I can't copy in. Brad, where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Vero, here and there on Facebook. You can check out all my writing on Kung Fu Kingdom and on Screen Rant, and you can find me, of course, here on the Sci-Fi channel. I mean the Sci-Fi Center, excuse me.
Getting this kicked off the internet.
I just dated myself. I was like, the Sci-Fi channel, you know.
Yeah, when we forced pre-Sharknado. All right, guys.
Yeah.
Well, tomorrow we are
doing Farscape.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, it was a great show. And the legs. Tomorrow we're diving back into our cause here for about 3 hours, and we are going to be watching Zack Snyder's. I almost said Justice League. That was last week. We're going to be watching the best Zack Snyder movie, which is watching my favorite Zack Snyder movie. While we were watching this, we are going to try to inch forward to 6,000. This is not just a number. I know when we bring things up, we often bring up numbers. Understand, like I will always say, and I will always drive the point home, there is no disease mentally or physically that does not get better with research, whether it be cancer, AIDS, ALS, everything out there, even as bad as it may be today for some of these diseases, it was way worse 30, 40 years ago before we had fundraisers and modern medicine and ways to get it. So this money goes to research, it goes to staffing, the people who are donating their days or getting stipends to be on the other end of 988, especially if they're full-timers. Trust me, every cent, it goes directly to them. I don't have my penny bank, and I'm not, I don't get any of it. It goes directly to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. The site that you click on when you make your donation is their site. It is the one that they set up for people who want to do fundraisers. So they're getting all this cash. And like I said, this is the one thing, no matter what kind of arguments you get, what kind of a boneheaded opinions you have, or whether you trolled somebody today or whether you got trolled or anything else, if you're involved in this at any level, it's the one thing that you are doing that is unassailable. No matter what, I don't know what else you're doing, but if you're part of this, that one thing maybe other things that you're doing, but this one thing I can guarantee you is something that you can put on your badge of, hey, I didn't fuck up today. So on that, I will see you guys in about 10, 12 hours for some more superhero stuff and some more fundraising. And then we'll do our overnighter and hopefully have a great day at the Sci-Fi Center. All my tourists, if you're watching this, you know what to do. Come in the store, leave your wallet at the door, and I'll take everything else. All right, guys. See you tomorrow.
There you guys.